Alright, welcome back to the very last lesson of Foundations, 11.3. So, the first part of 11.3 is going to ask you to evaluate, which basically means plug and chug, okay? Now, here's what you're going to do. What you want to do is when you plug these in, you always want to plug things in parentheses. So y is -1, x is 2. So that's going to give you 3... But instead of y, we have -1 squared and 2 squared. You always plug in parentheses. Always use parentheses. Okay? When replacing variables. And when if you write them, if you put them on here, that's what you want to put in the calculator. So we can just go right to the calculator and go 3 parentheses -1. Make sure you use the negative symbol. -1 close parentheses squared parentheses 2 close parentheses squared. If you don't put them in parentheses, here's the answer. You're going to get 12. Okay. If you don't put them in parentheses, 3 times -1 squared times, you have to use multiplication if you don't put parentheses, times 2 squared, you're going to get -12. So which one do you think is right? The first way, because it's the way I told you to do it. Okay, put in parentheses. That's why if you get things wrong, it's because you're not putting things in parentheses on your calculator when you square, especially when you're squaring negatives. The answer is 12. All right, so same question, plug it in. Again, use parentheses. Again, I'm just going to show you what you're going to do, and I'm not going to plug in the calculator because I'm going to skip most of these questions because that's a lot of what this is going to be. Just plug it in and chug. So -8, y is 2, so 2 squared minus 9. Plug that in a calculator. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time with that. Just plug it in a calculator. Just make sure anytime you replace a variable, you put it in parentheses. All right, here... y is -1, so 9 -1 minus 5, 3 -1 cubed plus 3 -1 squared. And you would just put it all in your calculator. And again, yeah, it might be a bit annoying to put in your calculator, but you won't have to worry about getting it wrong. All right. So let's put it over here. I'm going to erase this so I can see. Clear. Okay. So 9 parentheses, -1 close parentheses. And we have -5 parentheses, 3 close parentheses, -1 close parentheses. Now, since it's cubed, you have to use the X box here. All right, that allows us to put a 3 up here. Now, anytime you do that, anytime you use that little X box to use for an exponent, you have to press over so you're no longer in the exponent position. Otherwise, you will be typing everything in here in the exponent, 3 plus parentheses, and I don't want to do that. I don't want anything else in the parentheses. So press over, and then plus parentheses, 3 close parentheses, -1 close parentheses squared. You just type it all in as you wrote it, exactly as you wrote it. 9. And you'll be fine. Right. Now, the next set of questions you're going to get is this expression a polynomial? All right, here's the rule. Only whole number exponents. No fractions. No decimals. No negatives. That's it. You can only have exponents that are 1, 2, 3, 4, and on and on and on. Whole numbers only. Right? Like counting numbers. All right. So no, that's a fraction, not a polynomial. All right. So look at the exponents. No fractions, no decimals, no negatives. I'm good. That's a polynomial. All right. No fractions, no negatives, no. Again, when I say no fractions, no negatives, no decimals, that's in the exponent. Here's an exponent of 2, exponent of 1, no exponent here, so I'm fine. Yes, that's a polynomial. As long as I have no negatives or fractions up here, I'm good. Nope, not good. That 1/2, that means no. All right, the last set of questions. Last set of questions are going to be a two-parter questions. There's 3 of them. Determine if a monomial, binomial, and trinomial. Now, the nomials means terms. Nomial means number of terms. And those are separated by plus and minus signs. So here I have a plus sign, so that separates 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 terms. So what do you think? Monomial, binomial, or trinomial? If you know your prefixes, mono means 1, bi means 2, tri means 3. So which one do you think it is? Yeah, binomial. All right. The second part is the degree and leading coefficient. Degree is biggest exponent. So which one's bigger, 4, 5, or 4? Well, 5 is the biggest exponent, so that's the degree. Now, the leading coefficient is the coefficient of the variable with the biggest degree, or the biggest exponent. All right, now we already said that it has the biggest exponent. What's the coefficient? Coefficient is also 5. And that is how you find the coefficient and degree. Degree is biggest exponent. The coefficient is, the leading coefficient is the coefficient of the term that has the biggest exponent. All right, so do 2 of these. Again, how many terms? We have 2 plus signs that separates 1. 2 plus signs, so we have 1, 2, 3 terms. So that is a trinomial. Biggest exponent is 2, and the coefficient with that exponent is 8. Last question is they want you to plug in this. Sorry. This is mainly what they call function notation. F of x equals negative 5x minus 6. They want you to find f of 4a minus 7. So what happened to the x? X got replaced with 4a minus 7. So we're going to do the same thing with this x. We're going to replace it with 4a minus 7. So that x becomes 4a minus 7. We leave the negative 5 and the minus 6 alone. And then we simplify. Negative 5 times both of these. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20a. Negative 5 times negative 7 is positive 35. Bring down the minus 6. Combine like terms, negative 20a plus 29. And that's all they want you to do. Negative 20a plus 29. And that is it for the last lesson, 11.3. Go ahead and finish that up. If you haven't done the quiz yet, make sure you do the quiz. Make sure you get every other assignment made up. Next week, we're just reviewing for final, and then we'll have the final the last week. All right, good luck.